Hi everyone, it's Eliana, and I have another card to share with you today. I sometimes struggle with designing cards when it comes to the tiny little critters, and so I pulled out this sketches for card making, and I found a sketch that I thought was useful. And then I pulled out a very old paper pad that's been in my stash for a while. I actually bought it at a crafting garage sale. So I cut out my strips according to the sketch. The paper is from Echo Park Here and Now by Lori Whitlock, but you can use any kind of a paper pad. I wanted to try to keep this card gender neutral, so you'll see that I picked out green, yellow, but then there's also blue and pink. This card could go for either a boy or a girl. You'll see that I used my L ruler from my Creative Corner set to line up my first strip, and after that it was easy to position the other strips. I just used my ATG gun and lined up the colors exactly like the sketch had. Sometimes I just find it relaxing to just follow a sketch exactly. It kind of takes the stress out of designing, and it it does bring my creativity back because then I start thinking about other things I could be doing. So I'm using this tailored expression, grown up grumplings, and I'm going to stamp it onto some white cardstock. And I'm going to use Memento Tuxedo Black ink because I'm going to do some Copic coloring. I'm going to stamp it 2 times just in case I mess up the coloring. That way I have an extra. And because I'm using small strips of the pattern paper, it would be easy to do multiples of this card just to have on hand. You can even change out the little critter and put something else with a different sentiment. So you can use whatever critter you have. So I'm starting off with W1 and I'm just going to color the cat. Because there's so much color on the front of the card, I just thought I would keep it neutral. And so I'm just using warm grays. I'm using a W3 Copic marker to just add some flicks. And what I'm doing is I'm just flicking twice, both towards the center of the cat. That way it looks like there's stripes. Now I'm going to use a W7 for the nose and then a um, W00 for the belly, and then I'm going to shade it with the W0. I'm using R85 for the tongue. And what I noticed was that was the color that matched the pink that I used in my pattern paper. Now I'm using R81 for the inner ear. And for the diaper, I wanted to use a color that was already in the card. And so I picked out the yellow greens. I'm using YG21 and YG23. There is no in between color, and so I'm just doing tip to tip to kind of mute out that YG21 a little bit. Now I'm using my Spellbinder circle dies. I'm using both sizes. I have the small and the large set, and I cut it out, and then I realized that I had not done my overstamping. So I left it, luckily I'd left it inside the die and I hadn't popped it out. And so I was able to put the whole thing inside the MISTI and overstamp, and it lined up perfectly. Now I'm just adding my clear embossing powder and I'm just heat setting it. And I'm picking out, I want a blue, it was kind of like a blue or a violet shade that was in the pattern paper, but there wasn't one in that paper pad. And so I'm pulling out some very old pattern paper from previous kits, and it was from the Simon Says Stamp card kits. And so I keep those in sandwich bags, and that way I know which paper goes with which set. I pulled out a different pattern paper set for the sentiment. I didn't want it to be stark white, and so I just picked out one that had a subtle tone-on-tone pattern for the background. And now I'm just stamping the sentiment. I did heat emboss it with clear embossing powder. I just cut that part out of the video, and now I'm just using my circle punch. I did pull out a lot of my circle punches for this. I hadn't used them in a while, so it was nice to use old pattern paper, an old sketchbook, and some old tools that were in my stash. So I'm following the pattern and I realized that I need a message that goes across. And so I pulled out my Mama Elephant labeled messages. I thought it would be the right size and add a little bit of black to it so that it wasn't too busy. And I'm double stamping it with some VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and then I will add some clear embossing powder to it and emboss that as well. Makes it look shiny and it looks like an actual label. And then I'm going to go around the edges with a black marker so that it doesn't have the white edges around the cutout. I've assembled everything together and I just need one more um, dot, and so I'm just using my hole puncher and I'm just going to add that to the very bottom. I hope you've enjoyed how I followed a sketch and I followed it exactly, just so you know that sometimes I get in a rut too and I'm not sure what to create. And just by creating something from a sketch, it will spark your creativity. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I hope you have a great day. Bye.